In this episode of OG55, another reaction video, this time from Eric D. Bunks, all about the Joker 2 and why is it underperforming? Is it? There's a lot of reasons, but we're going to react to this video. It's a really great content creator that I'm kind of new to, and he does amazing analytics and analyzing for these various content creators across the YouTubes. We're gonna break it down. I got Seymour Duck and the Italiano with me today on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We're talking all about Joker 2. Why did it underperform? We have a great reaction video ahead for you all today. Before we get started, the Italiano is back and your beard is back. What's up, George?
Doing good. Yeah, again, I love having these really in-depth conversations, whether it's, talking about the parks, whether it's talking studio or corporate side. It's always a good time on Orange Grove 55 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can they find you on social media, sir?
You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There he is, Mr. Seymour Duck. It is an absolute pleasure having you on, sir. Welcome back.
Hello, and it's I'm glad to be back, actually. Yeah, nerd out with you guys and react to this video.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a fun one. I've been actually wanting to react to this guy's content for a real long time. I'm gonna actually try to get him on the show. I really want this guy to come on the channel and we can talk all kinds of stuff. He's very smart, great analysis all around. But Mr. Seymour Duck, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on X, Threads, or Instagram at Mr. Seymour Duck.
There he is. Make sure you follow Mr. Seymour Duck on all those platforms. All right, guys, let's rock and roll. Here we go. So in this video, it's called Joker 2 flops due to low support from straight white men. When will Hollywood learn? Okay, this is obviously a little bit of a, what's it called? Like mocking. He's kind of mocking the anti-woke kind of grifters out there in this space because they seem to do the same thing when it comes to people of color or women, what have you. But this guy does great content. We're gonna play it, and then we're gonna react to it along the way. Seymour, George, anytime you want me to pause it, just let me know.
Go ahead. I just wanted to make a note. I did see the movie.
Oh, interesting.
Because, if you saw the trailers, it was like they mixed in musicals with it. And I'm a musical guy, so that intrigued me. So I did see the movie. So I do have some thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I haven't seen it and George hasn't either. So I definitely want to kind of pick your brain on what you thought about it. Here we go. Here comes Eric D. Bunks.
Oh no, straight, white, cisgendered men. Are y'all okay? Are y'all doing all right out there? Because you let one of your movies flop. Joker 2 or Folie à Deux flops at the box office with brutal audience reviews. This is pretty much across the board. And since we've established from the respectable YouTube critics like Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic that if the group that the movie has pandered to doesn't show up for the movie, then the movie flops because that group let the movie down.
And see, this is the thing, and he's right. He's absolutely right. This is why I love this guy. He brings up what nobody else is really talking about, right? And it's constant like double standard with stuff, right? You see a lot of the grifters and the anti-woke folks, even in the theme park space, right? It's when Universal will discount tickets. It's look at Universal being, oh man, Universal, they're so good to the little guy, aren't they? They're doing the fans a solid for. For all these discounts. Disney, though, discounts. It's like, oh, see, Mouse House in trouble, Mouse House failing, right? It's that double standard. They do it not only with the movies, they do it in the theme park space, this constant double standard. And what Eric here is saying is like, yeah, you know what? When you have a movie with maybe a female lead, person of color lead, or what have you, when it fails, it's, oh my gosh, that fan base didn't show up. The woke crowd, it didn't show up to this movie, but it never happens in reverse though. When you have a white male lead or something that isn't woke, they never come for that the same way. It's that double standard. We see it over and over and over with the studio, the theme parks, all of it.
Yeah, speaking of that, even for Warner Brothers, right? A lot of the times they ignore that Black Adam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Shazam 2 all did bad.
It's funny,
Morbius, you can count Morbius too with Sony. That did terrible as well. But the only thing they want to focus on is the Marvels and Madam Web.
Yeah.
But what about all those other superhero movies that didn't do well?
Right. Exactly.
Well, really quick.
No, go
I
ahead.
was going to even touch upon the notion of, even with The Wild Robot, for me, I did see that movie. It's a beautiful animated film. I encourage everyone to see it. But at the same time, the numbers and again, it never really identifies a movie of like how good a movie is based off of the numbers that it brings in through the box office. However, with a lot of grifters, they do see it that way. It's, if you don't see the numbers in the box office, okay, it's automatically a failed film. Okay, while The Wild Robot is doing okay, but nothing like astronomically with the numbers at the box office, but they still say it is a great film, which it is. But if it was to be a Disney or Pixar film, that would still be a great film, but because it's not bringing in the numbers, it's okay, it's automatically a bad film. And they say that even if they haven't even seen the movie.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think Eric kind of gets into that a little bit here, George, with in this video about how a lot of times these folks don't watch the films. You know what I'm saying? But they have a lot of opinions on it.
One more thing.
Sorry, Seymour.
And there is one movie, I feel like they visit the people from the Men in Black and got their memories erased because they want to forget it, that it ever happened. Barbie, a female-led movie, the #1 movie that Warner Brothers Discovery ever made, the top grossing movie. They always forget to mention that as well. It's like they talked about it the first 2 weeks and then deleted their tweets, deleted their videos, and they want to pretend like it never happened. They don't want to act like the general audience like they loved that movie, and it was very successful.
Right. Well, and Seymour, the reason for that is because the lead up to that movie we've talked about before on the channel, but it's worth repeating. The lead up to Barbie was the kind of the grifter narrative was, well, this is one of the wokest films Hollywood has ever done, right? But the issue with that is once the movie was released and the movie started to do numbers, like serious numbers, I think Barbie did over $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken. They couldn't carry that same line of rhetoric anymore, right? Because if you admit a movie is woke, and the movie goes on to make $1 billion, well, that totally cuts through. That's a stake through the heart for the go woke, go broke bumper sticker kind of thing they do. So you have to pretend like, oh, well, it wasn't woke, because if you acknowledge it was woke and it still made $1 billion, well, that cuts to the heart of their entire culture war narrative.
That movie was number 15 in the all-time movie charts, to date, and it made $1.4 billion. So it was really successful.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight, white, cisgendered male as the lead. That means your community didn't show up, and thus the movie flopped. That's the criteria we have. If a woman's in the lead and the movie fails, then women didn't show up. Thus, we need to have a conversation about the validity of women as the lead in films, or if a gay person is in the lead of a movie and that movie fails, then we need to discuss whether or not Hollywood should be pandering to gay people. That's how this works, right? That's how this whole system works. Movies that are filled up with DEI.
But see, that's the thing, and Eric's right. That's how the system works. That's what these folks, the anti-woke folks, set this up. That's the rules. That's the rules, right? For the game, basically, right? But here's the thing: we all know now the rules don't apply to every circumstance, or the rules don't apply across the board. I've said it many times before. When it comes to Bob Iger, it's shut your mouth. Don't get political. Don't bring politics into this. Why are you getting political, Bob? Why are you getting political, Bob? Just run your company, right? When it comes to Bud Light, why are you guys getting political? Just sell your beer. Okay. Meanwhile, Elon Musk can sit there and literally campaign for Donald Trump, which is, like literally campaigning for the dude. And that's fine. I don't hear any of those same people complaining that this man that runs a car company and a social media platform should shut up and just go run his businesses. For some reason, for Elon Musk, it's perfectly fine to get political and like obnoxiously political, okay? Like in your face political. They were screaming about Jack Dorsey. He's too progressive. He's too much of a lefty. How come he's running a social media platform? It's not fair. And then their guy comes in and is like, honestly, worse, but on the other side. But because it's their politics and they agree with Elon, it's okay. Then it's fine. Then it's free speech. It's a bunch of double standards and rules for you, but not for me kind of shit. And it's getting really tiring. And a lot of people are sick of it. Go ahead, Seymour.
Oh, I just wanted to state a few female lead movies that did really well. Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Star Wars is dead with Disney. Made over $2 billion. Inside Out 2, if you count that as a female lead, $1.6 billion. All right, and then you had Frozen 2, $1.5 billion. Barbie, $1.4 billion. The list goes on. Star Wars: The Last Jedi, $1.3 billion. Captain Marvel, $1.2 billion. Beauty and the Beast, $1.2 billion. If a movie is good, even with a female lead, a movie is good, in my opinion. That's what it seems like what the audience is saying.
Well, exactly. And that's why this whole thing, this whole like DEI woke thing is so reductive. It takes all the intelligence out of all the debate and all the discussion. That's what drives me freaking nuts here. You're seeing, because Inside Out 2 made a lot of money. So the narrative was, see, Disney, if you just don't insert your politics in the movies, your movie will do well. That movie was doing banger numbers in the pre-sales before anyone even watched the damn movie. No one knew whether it was woke or not when they were buying their pre-sales tickets. Nobody knew. Mm-hmm. So this whole notion, this whole narrative that the only reason why Inside Out 2 did well is because parents felt safe because there was no woke in it. Parents didn't know how much woke was in it when they were buying the pre-sales before the movie was released. So it's all that stuff about Inside Out 2. It's all about saving face, because these same people were saying that the Pixar brand is dead and it's going to take years and years to recover. They have to make some excuse as to why that didn't happen and the movie's doing well. But this whole notion that it was because it was not woke falls flat on its face when you look at the numbers and you realize the pre-sales were very strong before anyone even watched it.
And feminism and all these things, they fail because of those reasons. So when you have a straight, white, cisgender male going into a movie exuding all of the attributes of someone who is a straight, white, cisgender man, then that means all of those things come into question when the movies fail. So we need to take a long, hard look at Hollywood's pandering to straight, white, cisgendered men in the last 10 to 15 years and how much money they've lost because of those flops. Let's do it. Let's go all the way back to 2012 and talk about John Carter, a whopping $250 million budget, and it tanked, grossing only $73 million domestically. Coincidence? Or is it really because of the lead actor?
Sorry, Seymour.
I haven't seen this movie. I didn't care for it to watch it. That's just something for me, right? I it could be like me, a normie. I didn't watch this movie.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I didn't either. But he makes an interesting point, because this movie was a notorious Disney flop. And if this was Brie Larson or Amandla starring, it would be, oh my gosh, look, it's because it's woke or this, that, and the other. But when it's this white dude, it's like, oh, it was just a bad movie. Like this group, the rules don't apply on every single case, which is really frustrating.
Taylor Kitsch, another white male dragging a movie into financial oblivion. Then we have The Lone Ranger from 2013. Despite the draw of Johnny Depp, this Western flop starring Armie Hammer lost Disney $190 million. Clearly, it wasn't the overdone Western themes, it was the white male lead. Then we have Robin Hood from 2018, an $86 million box office loss. Taron Egerton's leading man charm wasn't enough to save this. The blame, obviously, is a generic white guy in tights. That's clearly the problem. Let's jump back to 2017 with King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, a big budget epic starring Charlie Hunnam that cost $175 million to make, but only grossed $39 million domestically. Was this another medieval bomb or yet another victim of the dreaded white male lead curse? Here's another one, Ben-Hur from 2016, a $100 million remake of the classic flopped big time, grossing just $26 million domestically. Maybe audiences just couldn't stomach Jack Houston in the lead.
I must be woke because I haven't seen any of these movies.
I actually haven't either.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, he's just making it's funny. He's making the point like, hey, look, these movies flopped, and you can paint the narrative that all these movies with the white male lead, they flopped because of the white male lead. You know, you can spin narratives anyway, but you know,
technically that's probably why I haven't seen it, is because it has a white male lead. I'm a white male, so I see enough of myself, so I don't need to see it on a screen.
There you go, George. Exactly.
Yet another white male disaster. Look, all jokes aside, this movie, Joker 2, on paper, should have been a slam dunk as a follow-up to the first film.
Yep.
That first film was directed by Todd Phillips, who also directed the sequel, who says he left comedy to make the Joker movie, the original Joker movie, because woke culture ruined the genre. This is the guy who made The Hangover, right? He says he left that because of woke culture. This is one of your guys talking about like the grifty chuddy space. This is one of your guys. He also came out and said that the studio had nothing to do with the sequel to the Joker. James Gunn didn't have anything to do with it. The studio didn't. They allowed him to make the movie that he wanted to make. Joaquin Phoenix signed on to the movie because he believed.
I don't know if he's going to get into it, but there was reports that he did not want to do any test screenings for this movie.
Oh, that's interesting. That's
so
very, very interesting.
He didn't get the audience reaction and how well this movie was going to do. And I think that could be part of the problem. I remember Disney having test screenings when Chapek was in charge, and they were bad, and they still released the movies. You get results saying it's a bad movie, and you're still releasing it. You're wasting money at that point. You know, right. You're hurting the brand more than because you think, you know, some people are pushing. Unfortunately, I don't think Chapek had the balls to say no. And I think people in the company pushed him and said, no, you have to release it. Everyone worked on it, even if the movie was bad, though. And I think here, nobody wanted to say anything about it for this Joker 2 movie. And they just allowed him to do what he wanted to do and didn't even want to get people's reactions to the actual movie itself.
Wow. Interesting.
Even the passion behind this project. Lady Gaga in the movie has a very limited role. She's co-billed because she's Lady Gaga, but she has a very limited role in the movie. So it wasn't because of her either. There was no DEI initiative. There was no wokeness injected into the movie. They actually portray gay intercourse as something violent and evil. All of this is in the second Joker movie. So there's absolutely no reason for them to not show up for the film. But they didn't. And now they're in a position similar to how they...
And I agree to that. All of that. What he said, because I've seen the movie. Yeah. Unless you think musicals are woke now. Even though they've been, you know. So I mean, that's a stretch. But I mean, that's the only argument I could see. Is that because they added a musical thing, that's why you're calling it woke. But in my opinion, I think that's just saying that you added something that didn't work and now you're just calling it woke.
Yeah, right. See, for me, I can't even stand the word anymore. They like completely bled that word dry with using it for everything, where woke doesn't even have a definition. And we talked about it many times on the channel. It's like, what defines the term woke? It's to one's own preference of what you just, can a movie just be, you know what, this movie bombed because it's just not a good movie, or I don't want to go see this movie because, yeah, they did add musical sequences to it. So it's like, you know what, it's not really my cup of tea. It's like, I'm so sick and tired of people, instead of just saying that, they're saying, oh, well, I'm not seeing it because it has this or that, so it's woke.
Yeah, and that's what drives me crazy. When I said earlier on in the show, George, that this anti-woke nonsense is very reductive with the debates and the conversations, that's exactly what I mean. Instead of addressing the issues, instead of looking at this stuff with a little bit of nuance and a little bit of intelligence and analyzing stuff for what it is, it's just, DEI, woke. And it's like this really like this knee-jerk, just honestly dumb analysis. And it's frustrating as a fan. This movie, Joker, Joker 2 flopped because it's not a good movie. I've heard pretty bad reviews. Okay, it didn't appeal to people. Wish, the Disney animated film, right? That flopped. It didn't appeal to people. It wasn't woke. It just didn't appeal to people. You know, this narrative and this constant sort of like just diarrhea of the mouth of just everything that flops is woke or this, that, and the other. It's stupid because it doesn't apply to every single thing. And as a fan, you know, of movies and parks and all this stuff, I want to actually talk about this stuff in an intelligent way and really get to the root of the matter. Why did something actually not perform? Why did people not see this movie? Why did it not resonate? And instead, we have this massive swath of people that all they want to do is just woke, you know, and it's like, come on, can we have an actual discussion about the real reasons why this thing didn't make it? If it's always woke and that's why it goes broke, then like you said, Seymour, Barbie shouldn't have made what it made. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's frustrating.
Diarrhea of the Moth. That sounds pretty shitty.
Yeah, it's very shitty. It's very shitty. It kind of stinks. Go ahead, Seymour.
Because I actually did see the movie, right? My opinion in the movie was that they lost focus to what made the original movie great. And it felt like they tried to fix something that wasn't broken.
Interesting.
And
okay.
So it basically pivoted off to a different area. So the audience who loved the first one, you know, this movie is not for them. And that's what I felt like to me. Even though, you know, I like musicals, I like movies. You know, Wonka was one of my favorite movies when they released it. And I'm excited for Wicked. Hopefully it's great. You know, I'm not going to go off by the reviews and the trailers. I'm hoping it's great. But, you know, I'm very hopeful on that. But, you know, who knows, right? Because I thought this was going to be good, and this wasn't for me. And I liked musicals, right? And it's just I think it was the wrong thing to do with it. And it wasn't for Joker. Because when you watch the first Joker, that's what I like Joker for, right? It's like, imagine if Deadpool changed everything about it and said, oh, yeah, we're going to make it make it very Disney-fied or something, right? Because people were saying that, oh, Deadpool is going to get ruined. It's not going to be rated R anymore. No, they kept Deadpool as Deadpool. They did not keep Joker as Joker.
Yeah. And see, that's what I love Seymour is like, see, like you're analyzing the film from like what was wrong with the film, right? You're looking at the pieces that didn't work and why it fell short. And that's what I wish as a community, as a fandom, we would have more of, like this honest discussion. But instead, we have all these grifters who all they want to talk about is woke and DEI, and they apply that crap to everything that even if it doesn't even apply half the time. And it just takes all the nuance and all the intelligence out of every single debate. And it's frustrating as a fan. I mean, as fans, I don't want to love everything. I don't love everything. We just did a video that was released today that we were railing on this rumor for Disney parks. You know, I mean, if it's true, I mean, I'd be pretty mad at Disney for it. I think it's a bad decision, you know, for the Avatar expansion over there at DCA. But it's like, I don't love everything. You know, it's not about, you know, oh, you just want to be positive all the time, or, you know, I don't want to be positive all the time. That's boring. But I want to analyze things in an honest way and not just regurgitate bumper sticker slogans all day long. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about stuff and see what's actually the problem. Go ahead, Seymour.
So your special access was revoked?
It was, yeah. No more yachting with Bob Iger and Dana Walden. Unfortunately.
Were with Furiosa, where they're trying to make it seem like a movie failed because of wokeness, because of DEI, because of all of this shit. And that's just not the case. And this rails against their narrative about get woke, go broke. They keep saying that's the reason these movies aren't doing well, instead of addressing the actual real issue with these inflated budgets in films and actual films themselves. Most of them aren't even engaging in the content that they're talking about. I would guess a lot of them didn't even see this movie, and they're still making video after video after video about it. I'm not here to try and convince you that Joker 2 was a
no. That's exactly the case. And in the theme park space, there's a lot of people that have been railing and talking shit about Tiana's that haven't been on Tiana's yet. But Tiana's Bayou Adventure has been seen as a center of this culture war. So got to be bad. You know what I'm saying? And it's like same with here in the film space. You know, a lot of these creators, they don't even watch this stuff. They're not even fans of these properties anymore. But they have a lot to say about them. You know, it's like, come on, you know, like I'm not going to do a whole show on the Acolyte. I didn't watch a single episode of the Acolyte. It doesn't interest me at all. but I'm not going to sit there and try to make judgment calls and statements about this show that I haven't even seen yet. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Same thing with me with the House of the Dragon, right? I don't watch it. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like it because it's not for me. But I don't go out and say it's bad. I don't care for it. I just don't care for it. That's it. I simply voted my wallet and said I don't want to watch it because it's not me. Even though I'm fans with a lot of the actors in the show, especially Matt Smith. I mean, he came from Doctor Who. I'm a huge fan. But I watched a few episodes and it's like, it's not for me. I'm not into that type of style. Like Lord of the Rings, I'm not into it as well. I'm more of a sci-fi nerd. But it doesn't mean I can go and attack those people who do like it because it's for them. They like it. It's not for me. I don't like it. And it's okay. I can step away and go across the street. You know, if you don't like some of the stuff that Disney do, you can go across the street. There's other studios. There's choice. There's a freedom of choice we can do.
Yeah, exactly. I said many times, like, I'm tired of Twitter. I'm tired of the way Elon Musk runs that app. I'm tired of it. I'm frustrated.
We should start a new resolution, and we all should be streetwalkers.
There we go. Streetwalker. Vote with your wallet. Pound that page. No, but like with Musk, right? I'm voting with my attention, more or less, because social media attention is currency, right? So I'm not going on Twitter nearly as much as I used to. Today I made a tweet, the first tweet I made in a long time, actually, about we're praying for the hurricane, the people in Florida with the hurricane and stuff like that. But no, I'm pulling back though on Twitter. I don't like the way it's being run. So I'm not going to keep supporting the site like I used to. Right. And a lot of times people, they love to complain about Disney, and how woke Disney is, but they're still consuming. So it's like, okay, well, vote with your wallet, folks. If you don't think Disney's for you anymore, vote with your wallet. Go to Universal. Go see, Universal movies. Maybe go to the theater and see a Warner Brothers movie.
It's funny. They go to Netflix, yet Netflix is actually criticized as the most diverse inclusion platform for streaming. Right. And yet they never get criticized unless once in a while they do. But most of the time they don't because they want a hero and a villain scenario where Disney is the villain and Netflix is the hero, even though Netflix does much worse in woke type content that they complain about, but you never hear about it online. Yeah,
you sent me a video the other day, the cartoon, the kids cartoon. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, there was a kids cartoon where there was a cow, and it was a non-binary cow on Netflix, a kids cartoon, and I was just like, where's the outcry for this? It went on for like 4 seasons.
Dude, there would have been 100 videos on that. If that was on Disney Plus, there would have been 100 videos on that cartoon. And the fact that nobody's talking about it, how come nobody's reporting on that? Isn't it funny?
They really should, because that seems like an utter disaster.
utter disaster. Yeah, well, the grifters love to milk it, George.
Good movie, because I did not enjoy the film. I think there was a lot of issues with the movie. However, this idea that the movie was ransacked with this DEI stuff, that the studio executives came in and made all these changes, none of that happened. Todd Phillips has said it himself. So if you want to place the blame on this movie failing because of lack of support, based on the criteria that Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker and all these guys have placed on films now, you should place it on the fact that the white guys, the straight, white, cisgendered men did not show up to support this movie. That is the sole blame. This is the kind of brain rot and bullshit that this community pushes when it comes to media literacy and movies not being successful. How dumb does it sound when I say that? When I go, this movie failed because it had a man in the lead, a straight white male cisgender in the lead. Clearly, that's the reason why the movie failed. How stupid does that sound to you? How dumb does that sound? It's extremely stupid. And the reason why is because it's not the cause of the problem.
Exactly.
The issues that Hollywood is experiencing with filmmaking and people going out and supporting movies is a very deep and nuanced discussion. But these guys that you watch, all of these channels that you support, keep saying woke, DEI, feminism, blah, 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 indoctrination, the message, the narrative. They keep saying this stuff to you and you keep buying into it, and it's just not true. Sometimes movies just aren't good. And the crazy thing, the baffling thing to me about all this is the first movie was a massive success story. Over $1 billion on what would be considered a shoestring budget for superhero and comic book movies. It was also championed by the far right and conservative people for a lot of the stuff that, do you remember the drama that happened about this movie's release, about how movie theaters were worried about people coming in and pew-pews and stuff like that happening, and they were doing no mask, and this movie supposedly did not have any sort of moral center to it or explain to the viewers that there was some bad shit going on, and so a lot of people were criticizing it for that reason. All of these things should have led to a massive success in the sequel. If we're talking about how billion-dollar movies work, remember what you guys said about Captain Marvel? The $1 billion that movie made was a fluke, and therefore the sequel, the follow-up, the Marvels, failed because of that reason. So would you argue that the first Joker's $1 billion was a fluke? Was it all a marketing thing, an advertising thing? Or is it the fact that that movie actually was a solid movie? It was a good movie at the end of the day, and the second one just might not be a great movie?
See, but Eric, respectfully, you're using logic and common sense here. I mean, come on, throw all that out the window and just get emotional and get mad about the woke, No. In all seriousness, though, he makes a great point. He makes an absolute great point. And exactly, they'll never address that. They'll never address that, in terms of Captain Marvel, being a fluke, but Joker 1 for some reason, not a fluke, huh? It's funny, that double standard.
And they tried to do that with Inside Out, and it failed massively. They were trying to say that, it was a success. The first one was a fluke, and the second one is going to bomb. No, it did better than the first one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's because it didn't have woke in it, Seymour, right? So stupid.
And it doesn't have anything to do with who the film is pandering to, because if we're talking about a movie that panders to a certain community, the Joker certainly had people in the conservative side and the alt-right community following this film heavily. This would have been the target audience for the second movie. So no, I don't believe necessarily that target audiences not showing up for a movie necessarily mean that the movie is bad, or that's going to guarantee a failure of a movie. I don't believe that. You guys shouldn't believe that either. All this bullshit they keep telling you is so fucking stupid. And when I'm saying it here that, this movie failed because Hollywood has a problem with white male leads, just even that coming out of my mouth sounds absolutely ridiculous. And anytime they say it about women, people of color, gay people, trans people, any other demographic, when they say that to you, it is just as stupid when they say it. You need to consider this when you hear them saying this next time.
Well said. Again, everybody go, and I will be linking his channel, obviously, at the very end of this channel and down below. Oh, hold on 1 sec. Give me 1 second. Make sure okay, there we go. I will be linking his channel at the very end and in the description down below. He does phenomenal content. Really, just honest, common sense kind of stuff, and great stuff all around. But George, what are your overall thoughts on this, brother? Are you woke? I don't know.
I mean, everything that he said actually made sense. Go figure. It's
right.
And this is where that is true. The narrative going across is when something does get started with a kind of a fad kind of thing in the social media world, it always trickles down where it's oh yeah, well we'll just, it's like a kinetic kind of spider web. It's this person used it, so I'll use it. And then this person used it, so I'll use it. So then it just becomes it becomes part of the norm, so to speak. So it's automatically, oh, yep, if that's a flop, it's woke. If it's not popular enough, it's woke. I'm probably, honestly, kids in schools are probably going to go around and say, hey, that kid's sitting by himself at the table. He's not popular. He's probably woke.
Well, yeah, you're right, George. It's this knee-jerk thing, and when it changes too, like we said with Barbie, it was woke until it made $1 billion, and it wasn't woke, and it's just a bunch of nonsense. But the whole thing about with Disney, right? Because we do a lot of Disney content here on the channel. The narrative was Disney is inserting woke politics into these animated movies, and that's why people aren't going to see Disney movies, right? Well, Spider-Verse made a lot of money. The sequel made a lot of money. It did very well. Now I know everyone's going to get in the comments and be like, "Well, but OG, that's a Sony movie. That's not Disney." Yes, as nerds, we know that there is a Sony Disney deal when it comes to the character of Spider-Man. But the average soccer mom taking her kids probably not privy to that deal. They see Spider-Man and go, "Oh, that's a Disney character," and yet all these families still went to go see Spider-Verse, despite the fact that it's very much a Disney character right now. You know what I'm saying? Again, the average family, the average soccer mom, is not aware that of the Sony Disney deal, and that this is mostly a Sony thing. So they still went to it. So this notion that families are staying away from Disney content because it's woke, it's just not true. Spider-Verse, a lot of normies don't know that Sony deal. They still want to go see it. Inside Out 2. Again, the pre-sale tickets for Inside Out 2 were very strong. If it was about feeling comfortable with the product because of no woke in it, the pre-sales wouldn't have performed. It would have had legs later on. You know what I'm saying? As more families went to go see it and that word of mouth spread. It was doing good before the word of mouth was even a thing.
Well, it's like even with Pixar's Lightyear, you know, a lot of people are saying, okay, well, that movie failed because it has a lesbian scene in it or what have you. I'm sorry, the movie failed because it's just not good. The characters are unappealing. The storyline sucked. Honestly, if it had a better quality kind of film with storyline and characters and plot and still had a lesbian scene in it, I guarantee you it probably would have done phenomenal at the box office. But because for that reason, people are saying, oh, just because of that one scene, because it showed two women living together, sharing a kiss, having a child in that very beginning scene of kind of like the montage of Buzz trying to blast off into space. I forget, nor do I care. But it's because of that one little scene, it ruined the whole entire movie. No, I'm sorry. The whole movie is ruined because it's just not a good movie.
Right.
Hands down.
Well, and that's what Eric was saying, where it's like there's real problems in Hollywood with these films and with these studios. But instead of addressing those real problems and as a fandom discussing the actual problems and the actual flaws and the problems with individual movies, it's this bumper sticker knee-jerk reaction of, well, it's woke. Oh, woke politics, DEI. It's like you suck, again, all the intelligence out of the argument, out of the discussion, out of the debate, and it just becomes this bumper sticker brain rot, and it's frustrating as a fan. Go ahead, Seymour. I do apologize, brother.
Well, I was going to say, if I remember correctly, Lightyear was one of those movies that had a bad test screening, and they still released it.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's Strange Things? Oh, no, what's it called? Strange World?
Strange
Yes,
World.
that one as well. They had a bad test screening, but they released it anyways. Bob Chapek couldn't say no.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting stuff, guys. Interesting stuff. Yeah, we'll definitely react more to Eric debunks. I think he does a lot of great content. I really like his spice, you know, for sure. Go ahead, Seymour.
Just one final thought I wanted to say is that for me, I feel like you should watch a movie because you want to watch a movie. Don't go because somebody else tells you to. Don't let them influence you. If you want to watch it, watch it. Don't be scared. If you like musicals, go watch musicals, right? Even like real musicals, go out and watch it. Do what you like, do what you love, right? And for me, you know, if you find the movie to be bad, then it's bad, and you think it's bad, and you don't watch it again. It's simple as that. That's what I believe. I believe movies are bad when they're bad. It's as simple as that. And you, in the general sense, right? But if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. And it's okay. And if you do like it, you can continue watching it.
Yeah, exactly.
And if there's a movie that you're considering on seeing, but you're not 100% sure, just do it like my bro OG does and just add it to your list.
Add it to your list. Add to your list and eventually get to it. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. But yeah, actually, speaking of Inside Out 2, though, I'm going to do a little bit of a shameless plug here. We're actually going to do a Story Geeks with Jay Shear next, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. So in about a week or so, we're doing that. And I'm very, very excited. We haven't done a Story Geeks with Jay in a while. Jay's obviously been very busy with his short film and what have you, but I'm really excited to kind of get back into it with him, and we're covering Inside Out 2. So it'll be a really, really fun show. Look for that next week, like the tail end of next week. So, but Italiana. Go ahead.
Sorry,
go ahead.
one last thing.
Sure.
The ironic part that this notion that because female leads do bad movies, Disney is known for having strong female leads in movies, all the way from like Snow White.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Disney princesses. Did we all forget about Disney releasing movies with them? Like I said, I was talking about Beauty and the Beast and how they're in the top ranking of the movies. Frozen, like that's like Disney's bread and butter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. If I mean a movie like Beauty and the Beast now, which I think is still the crown jewel of Disney animation, but you know, if that movie was released today, like the animated version, they would probably say it's woke. Oh, you have a female lead. Oh, she's a strong female, or this that. And that. They'd come up with something. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, and especially like with Gaston's like chauvinistic.
Yes.
Like it's not right for a woman to read. Soon she gets ideas and thinking.
Yeah, they would make all kinds of stuff about that. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. But they basically they would say, look, they made the white male a villain, and this, that, and the other, right? And whatever nonsense. George, where can they find you on social media, sir?
You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There he is, Mr. Seymour Duck. If you can let everybody know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Yeah, you can find me on X, Threads, and Instagram at Mr. Seymour Duck.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me, gentlemen. A good conversation. Thank you, Eric DeBunks, for the fantastic content. I'm kind of a new sub, so keep doing what you do. I'm a fan over here for sure. Thank you all so much for watching. This is a little bit of a spicy topic. You might disagree. If you do disagree, that's completely fine. Just keep it civil in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Go ahead, George.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, you could definitely, share your opinions. You could disagree with us, but you'd just be wrong.
There it is. Thank you for watching. OG 55.